All right, looks good. As I said, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. Welcome to our Scinomix Lab Automation Made Simple webinar with the topic of future-proofing lab operations by using smart solutions for sample tracking and identification. If you've seen the hints around, we do have a product launch that we are doing. If you were at the earlier trade shows this year, you may have seen it in person and are looking for more information, or you're brand new. So everyone is welcome. We're very excited to get this going and shown off. My name is Nick Shepard. I am the sales and service manager here at Scinomix. I have been with the company for about 5 years. I started in the engineering group and moved over to the service side, and eventually made my way to kind of overseeing the teams that you all interact with on a day-to-day basis. So really excited to be presenting this to you. Also, part of this webinar, we have pulled an engineer out from behind the desk and put him in front of the camera. His name is Chris Drake. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm one of the project engineers that's been working on this, so hopefully I might have some insight and be able to answer some questions you guys might have. Thanks.
Excellent. A couple of agenda items. So we will talk through kind of the future proofing and what automation can do to assist with that. After that, we'll roll into a live product demo of our new product, the Smart Scribe. And then we'll get into a Q&A session where we've picked a few frequently asked questions that we get asked on a daily basis. And then we'll get into some more ad hoc questions from you all as we roll through this. So please use the Q&A button in the Zoom webinar feature, and we will walk through those at the end. Okay, let's talk about unlocking the power of automation in your lab. And there's four major topics that we attempt to mitigate or reduce as we walk through how you integrate automation into your labs. The first one being labor efficiency and cost reduction. So allowing automation to relocate your staff to doing more of the science and less of those mundane day-to-day tasks of potentially labeling or sample tracking, so on and so forth, which really kind of boosts the overall productivity, not only of the lab in general, but of your staff. The second topic is error reduction. So allowing automation to mitigate the number of times that a sample is touched by a human definitely reduces the risk of human error or contamination. You can also utilize the barcode scanning features to sample track, and it's a little bit more efficient than having a human do that. Competitiveness and scalability. So faster response times with a higher throughput, or what we like to call walkaway time, enable labs to scale and maintain its competitive advantage. So being able to set up a run, go home, see your families, or watch your favorite TV show, come back in the lab the next day, and all of your samples be fully processed. You have a results file to reference, and you're off and running on to the next step is very advantageous. Finally, data integrity. So being able to have that real-time data collection as a sample is processed really ensures consistent, reliable, and complete data sets that you can reference that day or go back years and have that record stored in your information systems. So this is the kind of the four topics that we really try to work through when implementing automation in your lab. I do want to give a little bit of a backstory about Scinomix, whether or not you've worked with us in the past or are new to us. We were founded in 2001, and we're really kind of a custom shop back then where we were working with individual customers on their specific needs and developing products and automation to kind of help their specific needs. Um, Through that, we obviously kind of picked up on a trend and focused more on the labeling side, tube labeling. We got into plate labeling as well, but in 2009, we had our launch of our VX system, which was a VX2 back then, which was a tube labeler. And that was kind of our first product line that we launched, where we saw a large need of many, many customers in the industry kind of looking for an automated labeling solution. And we brought that to market in 2009. Between 2009 and 2021, we continued to refine that design. We increased, so added a VXL on top of the VX2, which essentially doubled your walkaway time, doubled your rack space. We also added in bulk filling and developed a bulk feeding, actually two bulk feeding machines between that time, um, implemented scanning, so on and so forth. So a lot of those customer requests as we launched that first VX, it was kind of pushing the next to the next level, and really trying to bring that full one-stop solution to the lab as far as labeling is concerned. That brought us to 2021 with our AQ launch, so our aliquoting system. It's a single channel pipette for precise filling or aliquoting that we partnered with our labeling system to again try and integrate filling and labeling all into one benchtop unit. And that has been very successful for us. Last year, 2024, we had a major feature update. Again, some of those customer requests or workings that we were doing with our customers in the field kind of produced a third-party labeling design integration that we have built into our software now. So a lot of the industry is using label designers such as Bartender or Nice Label or CodeSoft or any of the others, and we're able to implement with those now as of 2024. Dual scanning in a single run was also a big request. Prior to that, we could do two separate runs, one run being able to scan the factory code of a sample, and then a second run being able to validate the label that we applied. We have basically taken those two runs and made it into one to really increase your kind of throughput throughout the entire process. Finally, multiple racks in a single run was also developed last year and launched. So some of those more custom workflows or multiple workflows that are receiving the same label can all be processed in that same run. Which brings us to today in 2025. I cannot believe it's already 2025, but we are now launching our Smart Scribe laser etcher, which we will now get into a little bit more in depth. So hopefully that backstory kind of paints the picture of where we started and where we are now. So let's talk about why laser technology can be used in the industry. And there's five topics here for combating kind of the key pain points that we see in the industry that maybe laser etching can help. Obviously, unmatched reliability, so it's built to withstand demands of modern lab environments, providing the consistent and long-lasting performance with minimal downtime. Future ready design, so designed to integrate seamlessly with additional automation. We've always had this, but we have continued and made sure that we develop that into this new product so that our instrument can work with a much larger, broader scale automation line. Minimal maintenance. So obviously with etching, you don't have labels like maybe some of you are used to. So it's designed with end user in mind to make it user friendly, easy to maintain, less label changes, so on and so forth. The big thing is more walkaway time. So you'll see we've partnered this with our bulk feeders to the point where you don't have to be held down by your amount of labels that you have on a roll. You can essentially hit go and run thousands of labels at a time, depending on your workflow. But that has a big advantage to using this technology. Finally, exceptional durability. So we really designed this for the customers that have samples that are going into cold storage, very extreme storage conditions, to where maybe the integrity of the text on a label would not withstand. And so now we have this durable etched text on the tube, it will withstand the eternity of time. So that brings us to the introduction of the Smart Scribe. We have our animation here, and as you'll see, it is very similar to our VX2 labeler. Same footprint. We have it about 30 inches wide by about 20 inches deep by about 30 inches tall. So it's a still benchtop unit, which a lot of our customers value, especially with the tight space in labs. We do have a HEPA filter that comes partnered with this, and you can see that location or port on the back as it spins here. So that is on board to kind of keep the air from any contaminants during the lasing time. On the right-hand side, we have the actual what's under the covers of the tray in the laser actually etching the tube, and we will show you a live demonstration of that here shortly. And then finally, the bottom right picture, we have the gripper that is new design, placing the tubes in pre-racked solution. So as I mentioned, we do have the bulk output as well as can process any pre-racked tubes or rack the tubes however you see fit. So at this point in time, we will do a little bit of shifting of cameras. Chris and I will kind of close out our camera and we will share the live view of the Smart Scribe. Okay, that looks good. So at this point in time, you should be able to see two camera views of the instrument that is sitting here with us in the room. On the left-hand view, you have the Smart Scribe in that VX2 configuration. We have 6 SBS size racks positioned on the deck. So that is the maximum amount that we can do with this size. We do have a discard bin in that bottom left kind of stainless cover. And then off to the right, we have partnered our Smart Scribe with our VXI bulk feeder. So depending on how you're getting your consumables, you can essentially dump a bag of tubes into that VXI and it will queue it up for the Smart Scribe to process and rack those tubes. On the right-hand side is a kind of closer inside view of the instrument. So as we process this run, you will see the tubes come down to the VXI pick and place, be presented to the gripper. The gripper will place that into the laser module, and then once the tube is processed, the gripper will then place the tube into the racks. Okay. And as you can see in your live view, we have the VXI presenting a tube to the gripper. The gripper has grabbed the tube and is now placing in the laser module. What you can't see in these views, which we will show you in the next run, is the actual alignment and lasing process. So just hold on tight for that because we'll do that in the second run. So again, presenting a tube, gripper grabbing, placing in the laser module. Tube is being processed in the laser module and then picked back up by the gripper and placed in the rack. As you notice, these tubes do have a black patch on two different sides. So this is the patch which we're lasing on for a clear, concise text or barcode so that can be scanned further down the line. These are our brand of tubes, the Scinomix brand of tubes, which you can purchase from us. So again, really trying to be that one-stop shop for our customers where you can buy the equipment, you can buy the consumables, and you can buy the service from us as well to really kind of be that one solution for you. Okay. And that is the 4 tubes. So you kind of see how it moves up top. What we'll do is a second run and I'll share my screen with the software. Okay, so now you should be able to see our software window. If you're familiar with using our software, it looks very, very similar. If you're not necessarily familiar with Scinomix and kind of our brand, we do have our own design software. It's all done in-house and maintained by our team here. This is known for one of the more user-friendly software applications out there when talking about automation in labs. So we're very proud of it. We can essentially have a run set up, which we do. And the big thing that I want to point out here is the 2 different label documents that we have on the right-hand side. So this is essentially a preview of what will be etched onto either black patch of the tube. And the big advantage here is you can have 2 sets of label documentation for these etchable tubes since we have the 2 different black patches. We see a lot of customers etch onto one side with the human readable text, and then on the opposite side, utilize that document for barcodes and things like that to really maximize your capabilities as far as being legible and scannable. So I will go ahead and click run here. And we do have a prompt set up. Also very user friendly where you can click, hold, and drag as you see fit. So I will do this row. And we'll just put in a prompt here. Hopefully I'm spelling it right. And then what I want to bring everybody's attention to, if you imagine what you saw in that first run, this is essentially what is being processed underneath the tray. So currently the gripper is grabbing the tube from the VXI, and now you see it placed into the laser module. We do an alignment and a focus, and then you see the laser actually etching the tube. And we'll do this for 4 tubes as well. So again, gripper will be presenting down into the laser module. We do an alignment and a focus, and then we etch one side and then the other side. And that's where your 2 label documents come in handy. And this view is fantastic. We're really excited to be able to have this camera so that you can kind of watch it, as it is a little mesmerizing, at least to myself, and I'm sure to Chris as well.
Yeah, I think I've done probably 100,000 tubes, and I still like watching this.
Yep. And one more tube here. And there it is. Chris, I can hear the applause through the camera. I'm sure everybody is very excited as much as we are, right?
Yeah, this is probably the height of the demo.
All right. So if you'll give us a second, we'll flip back to the presentation. And I know it's a little bit difficult to actually see the quality of the tube, but what we have here is a picture of essentially what it looks like. And like Chris said, he's run hundreds of thousands of tubes. We've been able to scan successfully 1D and 2D codes. The text and everything is very legible to the point where it definitely at least compares it or is not better than the labels. So hopefully you can see that. If you're interested, we're happy to send samples or work with you on a virtual demo to kind of personalize this for you. But it's been really beneficial for us at this point. All right, moving on. What I want to do is kind of highlight the differences between our labeling systems and our new product in the Smart Scribe Etcher. So there's a few different topics that we want to highlight the differences, and the first one being the marking technology. So for a VX, the labeling with access to bulk filling, or I'm sorry, bulk feeding, filling, and weighing. So the obviously since 2009, we have refined that product and partnered it with a lot of different accessories, and those are definitely still available on the labeling side of things. Whereas on the Smart Scribe, we really only have access to the bulk feeding at this current point in time. So if you're still looking to fill and weigh and do a lot of that stuff that you're used to, the VX labeler may still be the best fit for you at this point. Second is marking durability. So the VX series, the labeling is best suited for the short to medium storage and or moderate storage conditions. So a lot of our labels are rated down to those cryo temperatures, but going into liquid nitrogen and potentially using cleaning solutions and things like that may degrade the quality of that label, which the Smart Scribe being that permanent etched into the tube is really immune to a lot of those extreme storage conditions and harsh cleaning solutions. Tube compatibility. So our VX series goes from a 0.5 milliliter tube up to a 50 milliliter conical tube. We also can handle glass vials on those, whereas the Smart Scribe is limited to the zero point 0.5 to 8 milliliter. and they have to have that etchable patch to basically be able to see consistently or whatever your label document shows. So if you're wanting to run glass or don't have an etchable patch on your tubes, the VX may be the best. If you're really looking to get into that, the cutting edge, use the laser etching technology, you'll have to have those etchable tubes. As I mentioned before, we do have our own line. We've also had great success in utilizing other consumables out there that have that etchable capability. Fourth, marking options. We do support on the VX series the 1D, 2D codes, as well as images like logos and things like that. So if you're interested in that, the labeling system may be best for you. SmartScribe also supports the barcodes, 1D and 2D, but we are still testing images and making sure that that can be refined to the point. So that is not something that we have available today, but it is in the works. Finally, throughput. The VX series is best suited for throughput needs higher than about 250 tubes per hour. Um, Obviously, you have the VXL size, which gains that additional walkaway time. Whereas the Smart Scribe, we're maxed out at about 250 tubes per hour, and that has to do with really making sure that the tube is aligned properly, your etch shows up correctly and is validated. So it's a little bit slower, but obviously you have the durability advantage as well. So hopefully that helps if you're trying to weigh your options. As I've said before, feel free if you're still not quite sure what the right solution is. We are available to help you out, to kind of guide you through your choices. So, okay, we will get into some FAQs. So, we have 8 or so questions here that we get asked on a fairly regular basis, and we'll go through those. And then we do have our Q&A section available in this webinar where you can place your questions, and we'll get to those after this section. All right, we'll turn it over to Chris.
So I think this is definitely the most common question we get whenever we show off this machine is what kind of tubes are actually compatible with the SmartScribe?
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, the Smart Scribe is compatible with really any type of etchable tube, at least from what we've experienced at this point. Really, from that 0.5 to 8 milliliter. If you're looking at dimensions or diameters, we go from about the 8 millimeter minimum up to about a 20 millimeter, and then we have some height restrictions as well. Depending on how tall your tube is, we may not be able to laze that entire side of the tube.
So the next one is what is the throughput capacity of the SmartScribe?
Yep, so we're right around 250 tubes per hour. Again, it depends on what your label document looks like. If you're etching on both sides of a tube, doing that validation, but the 250 tubes per hour is a good standard at this point.
What sort of maintenance is required for the SmartScribe?
Yeah, and I'm glad that people ask about this fairly early on in the purchasing process. So the day-to-day maintenance is fairly minimal, especially compared to the labeler where you're not having to change the labels over in the printer. This is really just kind of hit and walk away, and then however many tubes you have processed is at the end of the run, you'll have to interact with it. But as far as maintenance goes, obviously we recommend an annual PM. We do have our service agreements in place with our service team that you're welcome to enter into, that will really give you that priority service with any issues that may come up or just to complete your PM on an annual basis.
So how well does the SmartScribe integrate with existing laboratory systems?
Yep, it definitely integrates very well. We have what we call our work list feature. So a CSV can be input with your different information per sample. We do have a remote run start capability as well that works with schedulers such as Green Button Go or Genera or any of those other schedulers out there in the industry, to really kind of be the labeling solution for your larger automation platform. Obviously, we do have onboard validation to make sure that those samples can be scanned further down the line so you don't run into any issues outside of our instrument.
So what options are there for customizing the tube markings?
Yeah, so the Smart Scribe supports customizable 1D, 2D, and other patterns as far as the codes go. The labs can again have that custom document, label document, whether or not it's one label document or two, but you can really customize it however you want. Just keep in mind that we're still working on the images and logos at this point.
So can the laser etch tubes from the Smart Scribe handle extreme storage conditions?
Yes, and I think that's the largest advantage of utilizing this piece of equipment, being able to etch permanently onto the tubes, and then store them for days, weeks, months in those very extreme cold storage temperatures that a lot of our samples require. This is probably the best bet for you at this point.
Are there any restrictions around the etchable patch that is on the tube?
Yeah, at this point we have not. Obviously, the smaller the etchable patch, the less amount of information that you can put on there. I know that our quality is very good, so depending on how large your text is or who wears contacts or glasses or things like that, you can essentially read very fine print on it. So no limitations at this point.
So what if my tube does not have an etchable patch, but it is dark in color already?
Yeah, so this is not a problem for us either, which is very nice. So we can, based on the alignment process, adjust for a fully dark colored tube. We've done some testing, and Chris can talk a little bit to that, but so far we've seen great success with it.
Yeah, this the system was kind of designed with flexibility in mind from the beginning. So, of course, we wanted to test as many tubes as we could, and we've had, like Nick mentioned, a great amount of success with actually lasing on amber colored tubes and brown tubes. As long as it's mostly opaque and a dark color, we've had pretty good results. So,
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think that is kind of the frequently asked questions, and we'll kind of turn this back to our audience now, where Chris will kind of walk through the questions, and we'll answer those questions live. So let's do it.
so I'm just going to go down chronological. This was the first one. Can this be used with matrix tubes?
It can, as long as you have the etchable patch. So we've seen those different sizes, but we are down in those half mil, 1 mil matrix style tubes, whether or not they're racked or pre-racked. As I mentioned before, we do have our own line as well. So as long as you have that patch, you should be good.
So can Scinomix offer a 1.8 cryo tube for the system?
Yes, we do have that as one of our options. So if you're looking for that type of information, we do have a catalog that our account managers can help you out with.
And we've got does the customer need a special tube? And I know this was asked early on. I think we've hit on this a couple times. Yeah, we need a, a laser etchable patch or a dark colored tube. And what is the manufacturer of this tube that we're offering?
Yeah, great question. So we OEM that. I would not like to share, but we do have a partner that we are working with at this point. But as you've seen out in the industry, we are right in line with a lot of those products out there.
So does the Scinomic system generate the 2D barcodes, or is this transferred from another system?
Yeah, so the system generates the 2D barcodes dependent on the information that you have in your file data. So if you're loading from a work list or from your information system, that code is encoded with the information that you have input from your information system. Hopefully that makes sense.
Did you test FluidX vials? I personally did. I've got probably a couple hundred marked tubes sitting on my desk that are the FluidX slash Azenta tubes, and yeah, those work great. They etch very clear, so those are definitely an option. What is the cost for something like this?
Yeah, great question. We are definitely higher than what the labelers are, but in the industry comparable, we're very competitively priced. If you're looking to get a quote, we can link you up with our account managers to get an actual price for you.
And then we're being asked to flip back to the FAQ slide for just a sec.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. See if we can do that. All good questions here.
So then, are there options to exchange existing systems for Scribe?
Yeah, so depending on the age of your equipment, or if you've just launched into utilizing the labeler, we can have those conversations. It is on the table, but we would like to understand kind of your workflow and make sure that we get you the right solution at the end of the day.
So who are the main competitors for laser tube printers, and what are our what kind of relative advantages do we offer?
Yeah, so good question there. If you were at SLAS, there were a few etchers out there. I believe LVL has an option as one of them that we have watched closely. Our advantage compared to that one is we can bulk feed in tubes. I don't know if they can validate, but we definitely have the longer walkaway time compared to that competition in my eyes. So I think that's the largest advantage at this point. Chris, you may think of another one.
Yeah, I think a great thing that Scinomix offers is the flexibility. Kind of all of these systems are designed to fit into customer workflows, and we're willing to work with everybody's existing tubes. We're trying to provide a solution that works for you guys. So uh, we're flexible. We want to work with you guys. If you guys have questions and stuff, I think our customer service is definitely very, very, very good. And like Nick mentioned earlier, we're aggressively priced for this industry, and you guys will probably find that.
Good. All right, we'll give a couple more seconds, make sure there's nobody that has any final questions. All very good questions and appreciate the participation. Maybe one more popped up.
Yeah, have you tested zero point 0.5 milliliter amber matrix tubes and how well does it work with those? I have tested 2 mil amber tubes, and for this, it's about the actual color of the tubes and the plastic makeup of the tubes. So if it is a polypropylene plastic and it is a semi-transparent or opaque amber, I would bet we'll have good success with that. We'll be able to market, but of course, if you want us to test that, we are more than happy. I love playing with more tubes and getting to try out more stuff. So feel free to shoot us an email about that.
Yep, that's great.
Is the HEPA filter part of the system or is it an optional accessory? So this is definitely part of the system. We provide every smart scribe with a HEPA filter and a filter, the actual filter unit inside of it is designed for this application. So kind of minimizes any VOCs or any issues that you guys might have.
Awesome. Appreciate all those questions. Obviously, as we get off of this webinar, and if you think of anything else, feel free to reach out to us at sales at Scinomix or give us a call. And we'd be more than happy to answer any other questions that pop up at this time or in the future. Like I said, sales at Scinomix, call us 314-298-9800. We can get you a personalized demo of the Smart Scribe or any of our other products. If you send us samples, we are happy to run those with your workflow to really make it feel as real as possible, kind of tailored to your workflow. So happy to do that. We do it all the time. Have a great demo lab set up here with many different options of equipment to use. As always, we want to say thank you. Stay tuned for our next Automation Made Simple webinar coming up in the next few months. We really hope that you guys enjoy this. If you have been with us since the beginning, I think this is our fourth or fifth webinar. If you have not, feel free to jump back onto our YouTube page or website to gain access to the other series that we have done. We will be live at PitCon next week with a few of our pieces of equipment, and Mark and Lucas, a couple of our account managers, will be there to answer any questions. And as always, feel free to reach out to sales@Scinomix.com or give us a call. We're always happy to help. So appreciate the time. Have a great rest of your day. What I will say is we have another session. It will be this same content at 3 p.m. Central Time. So if you have other questions, feel free to jump on to that session or bring along your colleagues to kind of show them all this exciting work that we have put in. Thanks to Chris, as well as Alyssa for producing this for us. And we hope you all have a great day.
Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.